But ultimately, I feel like it comes down to Stephanie White, because when Stephanie White allows this team to play Caitlin Clark style of offense, Kelsey Mitchell is getting 4 and 5 backdoor layups for Caitlin Clark assists every game.
Caitlin Clark is about to go on a run for the ages, a legendary, historic, never before seen run that is going to shake the entire WNBA to its core. And the reason it is finally happening, the reason the floodgates are about to burst wide open, is because Stephanie White has finally agreed to play Caitlin Clark style basketball. And people, that changes everything. Hello everyone, and welcome back to WNBA Extra. I am so glad you are here today, because I am back with another exciting and incredibly informative video that I genuinely hope you are going to enjoy from start to finish. Make sure you stay with me all the way to the very end, because you will absolutely not want to miss what is coming in this video. There is so much to break down, so much to unpack, and every single second of it matters for the future of the Indiana Fever and the future of Caitlin Clark's legacy in this league. So without wasting any more of your time, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so here is the situation. Here is what is happening right now in real time. The Indiana Fever are heading into the second half of this WNBA season, and the energy, the momentum, the sheer gravitational pull around this team right now is unlike anything we have seen since Caitlin Clark first stepped foot on a professional basketball court. We are talking about a seismic shift, a tectonic, earth-shattering, program-defining moment that the entire basketball world is now waking up to. And at the absolute center of all of it, as always, as it has always been and always will be, is number 22 herself, Caitlin Clark. Now let me ask you something. Have you been paying attention to what Caitlin Clark has been doing heading into this second half of the season? Because if you have, you already know. You already feel it. She looks healthy, she looks explosive, the shooting range is back, the handles are crisp. The vision is locked in, and she's playing with a kind of focused, laser-sharp intensity that tells every single person watching that she's about to do something truly special, something that will be talked about for years and years to come in the history of this league. But here is the thing, here is what nobody has been telling you loudly enough. The biggest story heading into this second half of the Fever's season is not just Caitlin Clark's individual brilliance. The biggest story, the one that could be the difference between a playoff run and a championship run, is whether Stephanie White is finally going to let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. Whether she is going to lean into her the way that Christy Sides leaned into her post-Olympic break last season. And from everything we are seeing and hearing right now, the answer appears to be yes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most important development in WNBA basketball right now. Bar none. Think about what happened last season under Christy Sides in the second half. Think about what that backcourt looked like when Caitlin Clark was given the keys to the offense and told to just go and run it. Kelsey Mitchell was getting 4 and 5 backdoor layups per game off Caitlin Clark assists. 4 and 5. Every single game. The offense was flowing, the ball was moving, players were getting open looks they had never gotten before. And the Fever were winning basketball games and making noise in this league in a way that had the entire sports world paying attention. That was Caitlin Clark style basketball, and it was magical. And then something happened, something shifted, and for a stretch of this season, that magic disappeared. The ball was not in Caitlin Clark's hands the way it needed to be. The offense was being run through other people when Caitlin Clark was on the floor, which makes absolutely zero sense when you have the most gifted playmaker and the most dynamic offensive force in the entire league standing right there on your roster. You have Caitlin Clark, a generational talent, a once-in-a-lifetime player, and you are running hub offense with Aaliyah Boston bringing the ball up the court. That is not just a mistake, that is a disservice to the greatest player in the game.
I'm ready to watch Caitlin Clark play 33, 34, 35 minutes a game and absolutely destroy these ladies and show them why she is the best player in the world.
Did you hear that? Did you hear exactly what was just said? When Stephanie White allows this team to play Caitlin Clark style offense, Kelsey Mitchell was getting 4 and 5 backdoor layups off Caitlin Clark assists every game. Every single game. That is not a coincidence. That is not luck. That is the natural, inevitable, unstoppable result of putting the basketball in the hands of the best player on your team and letting her operate, letting her dictate, letting her be exactly who she is. And that is the core of this entire conversation. That is the beating heart of everything we are talking about today. This is not complicated. This is not some advanced tactical chess match that requires a genius to figure out. It is simple. Put the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands. Let her run the offense. Get out of her way and watch what happens. Watch the Fever transform from a good team into a great team. Watch them go from a playoff contender into a championship contender, because that is exactly what happens when Caitlin Clark is unleashed. Now let us talk about the evidence. Let us talk about the proof that is sitting right in front of our eyes, because the numbers do not lie, and the numbers surrounding Caitlin Clark right now are absolutely staggering. We are talking about a player who is scoring 40-point double-doubles in less than 30 minutes of playing time. Let that sink in for a second. 40 points, a double-double, in under 30 minutes. Against the Connecticut Sun right before the All-Star break, she had 27 points and around 10 assists in just 27 minutes of action. 27 minutes. Analysts and insiders across the league have been saying the same thing. If she had played a full slate of minutes in that game, she would have had 40 or 50 points on the Sun. 40 or 50 in a single game in the regular season. That is not a basketball player. That is a force of nature. That is something that the WNBA has genuinely never seen before, and the fact that we have been watching her do it with one hand tied behind her back, with minutes restrictions, with an offense that was not always designed to maximize her gifts, makes it even more mind-blowing. Imagine what happens when those restrictions come off. Imagine what happens when Caitlin Clark is out there for 33, 34, 35 minutes per game, fully healthy, fully unleashed, running the offense exactly the way it was meant to be run. The rest of this league is not ready. They are simply not ready, and that brings us to the second most important factor heading into this second half of the season, the health of Caitlin Clark and the status of those minutes restrictions, because this is a pivotal question. Are the minutes restrictions done? Is Caitlin Clark going to be allowed to play the kind of minutes that a player of her caliber needs to play to truly take over a game and dominate from wire to wire? Because when she is healthy and when she is playing big minutes, there is not a single player in this league who can stop her. Not one. And the Fever's injury report has her listed as probable, which means she is going to be on that floor. She is going to be playing. And the question is just how many minutes she gets and how much freedom she has to operate.
Listen, I'm smelling championship. I'm smelling championship. I think the Las Vegas Aces are there to be had. I think they're slow. I don't think they're that good of a team.
I'm ready to watch Caitlin Clark play 33, 34, 35 minutes and absolutely destroy these ladies and show them why she is the best player in the world. And you know what? So are we. So is every single person who has been watching this Fever team and watching Caitlin Clark and believing in what this team can become. We are all ready. The whole basketball world is ready. And the second half of this season is where it all begins. Now let us talk about the other pieces of this puzzle, because while Caitlin Clark is obviously the engine of everything the Fever do, there are supporting factors that are going to be absolutely critical to whether this team can make a real run in the second half of the season. And the first one we need to talk about is the Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell backcourt dynamic, because this is something that has been a storyline all season long, and it is something that is finally starting to look like it is clicking back into place. Here is the thing about Kelsey Mitchell. She is a scorer. She is a talented, capable, professional basketball player who can put the ball in the basket. Nobody is disputing that. But there was a stretch of this season where the dynamic between her and Caitlin Clark felt off. It felt like there was a pecking order question hanging over the team. Who is the number one option? Who is running the show? And part of that honestly goes back to last season when Caitlin Clark was injured and Kelsey Mitchell had a big year carrying the Fever on her own. That gave her a certain confidence, a certain sense of ownership over the offense that sometimes manifested as ball-dominant play at moments when the ball needed to be in Caitlin Clark's hands. But here is the beautiful thing. Here is the thing that should have every Fever fan feeling genuinely optimistic right now. That dynamic appears to be finding its way back to where it was at its best. Kelsey Mitchell is committing to playing off the ball when Caitlin Clark is on the floor. She is making the right reads. She is moving without the ball. She is setting up in the right spots. And when she does that, when she trusts the system and trusts Caitlin Clark to find her, she is going to score the basketball. She is going to score whether she is playing one-on-one or whether she is playing off the ball. Kelsey Mitchell is going to get her points. The question is just whether she gets them in a way that makes the whole offense better or in a way that disrupts the flow that Caitlin Clark creates. And right now, the signs are pointing in the right direction. But again, and this cannot be overstated, all of this comes back to Stephanie White. It all comes back to the head coach making the right decisions, giving Caitlin Clark the ball, letting her dictate, not running hub offense with Aaliyah Boston as a ball handler when Caitlin Clark is standing right there on the court. If Aaliyah Boston needs to bring the ball up when Caitlin Clark is on the bench because Ty Harris is not a point guard and cannot handle ball pressure. Fine, okay. Whatever you need to do to survive those minutes. But the moment Caitlin Clark steps back on that floor, give her the ball, get out of the way, let her cook. That is the formula. That is the blueprint. Christie Sides figured it out in the second half of last season. The question now is whether Stephanie White is going to fully embrace it in the second half of this one. And the signs, the very encouraging, very promising signs, are that she is. That she has seen what this team looks like when Caitlin Clark is the engine of the offense. That she has recognized the mistake of trying to distribute the offensive load in a way that diminishes what makes the Fever so dangerous. And that she is now ready to lean in, fully, completely, without reservation. And if that is truly the case. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana Fever are about to become the most dangerous team in this league, I am telling you right now. Now let us talk about the third key factor, because beyond Stephanie White's coaching decisions and beyond Caitlin Clark's health and minutes, the Fever are going to need bench production. Real, consistent, reliable bench production from players who can actually make shots when the starters need a breather. And right now, there are exactly 2 players on this Fever bench who can do that. 2. Ty Harris and Sophie Cunningham. That is it. Those are your shot makers off the bench. Ty Harris has been giving the Fever quality production in her minutes off the bench. Whether she is playing alongside Caitlin Clark or running the second unit with Kelsey Mitchell, she has been solid, she has been reliable, she has been exactly what a backup guard needs to be. And Sophie Cunningham has been shooting the cover off the basketball when she is given the opportunity. These 2 players are the lifeline of the Fever bench. They are the difference between a bench unit that can hold its own and a bench unit that bleeds points every time the starters sit down. Because here is the reality. Raven Johnson cannot make shots consistently. Leisha Hines-Allen is not a shot maker. Michaela Simpson is a hustle player, long, athletic, a finisher around the rim, a defender, but she is not someone you are drawing up plays for to knock down jumpers. So when you look at that bench and you ask yourself who can actually make a shot under pressure, it is Ty Harris and Sophie Cunningham, period. And for the Fever to go on the kind of run we are talking about, a championship caliber run, those 2 players need to continue to deliver every single night.
But ultimately, I feel like it comes down to Stephanie White, because when Stephanie White allows this team to play Caitlin Clark style of offense, Kelsey Mitchell is getting 4 and 5 backdoor layups for Caitlin Clark assists every game.
I'm smelling championship. And you know what? When you hear that, when you feel that energy, you have to take it seriously. Because the Indiana Fever, when they are playing Caitlin Clark style basketball, when the offense is flowing through number 22 the way it is supposed to, when the bench is contributing and the starters are locked in, this team is a genuine championship contender, not a pretender. Not a team that is just happy to be in the playoffs. A real, legitimate, championship level basketball team. And let us talk about the defense for a moment, because this is the area where the Fever have the most room to grow and the most ground to make up. Look, nobody is asking the Indiana Fever to be the best defensive team in the WNBA. Nobody expects them to lock down every opponent from wire to wire, but they cannot continue to be what they were in the first half of this season. The defense in the first half of this year was simply not good enough. It was not competitive enough. There were too many breakdowns, too many missed rotations, too many moments where players were left on islands without help. And against the upper echelon teams on the second half schedule, the Minnesota Lynx, the Las Vegas Aces, the Golden State Valkyries, a healthy Chicago Sky, that kind of defense is going to get you beaten badly. The schedule is about to get significantly harder. There are no more easy stretches. There are no more games where you can afford to give up 100 points and still win because your offense bailed you out. The competition is going to be fierce, and the Fever need to find a way to be at least competent on the defensive end, solid enough, disciplined enough, connected enough as a unit to keep themselves in games on the nights when the offense is not clicking at its highest level. Because even Caitlin Clark has off nights, even Kelsey Mitchell has off nights, and on those nights, your defense has to be able to keep you in the game. We need to see more communication on defense, more help rotations, more players moving together as a unit instead of standing and watching while their teammate gets beaten off the dribble. More effort, more intensity. More of the kind of defensive energy that championship caliber teams bring every single night. That is what the Fever need in the second half of this season, and if they can find even a reasonable level of defensive consistency to pair with the offensive firepower that Caitlin Clark provides, The ceiling for this team is absolutely unlimited. And then there is the fifth thing, the thing that sounds so simple that it almost feels embarrassing to have to say out loud, but it needs to be said. It needs to be said loudly and clearly and without any sugarcoating whatsoever. Everybody on the Indiana Fever needs to make their layups. That is it. That is the whole message. Make your layups. Because Caitlin Clark is out there threading passes through defenses that have no business being threaded. She is finding cutters at the rim. She is hitting players in stride on backdoor cuts. She is delivering the ball in perfect position for easy, open, uncontested layups. And too many of those layups are being missed. Think about what Caitlin Clark's assist numbers would look like if her teammates simply converted the easy shots she creates for them. We are talking about 12, 13 assists per game on a nightly basis. 12 to 13. That is historic. That is the kind of assist production that puts you in conversations with the greatest playmakers in the history of professional basketball. And it is being held back, artificially, unnecessarily held back, because players are missing layups that should be automatic. Aaliyah Boston is making $6 million per season, $6 million, and she is missing short bunnies at the rim. Monique Billings, Michaela Simpson, the message is the same for all of them. Catch the ball, finish at the rim, do not waste what Caitlin Clark is creating for you. Because here is the thing about Caitlin Clark. She is going to create opportunities. She is going to find you. She is going to put the ball in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, every single time. That is what she does. That is who she is. She is a generational passer, a generational playmaker, a player who sees the game 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone else on the floor. And all she asks, all she needs is for her teammates to do their part. Catch the ball, make the shot, finish the play. It is that simple. And when that happens, when all 5 of these factors align, when Stephanie White is running Caitlin Clark style offense, when the minutes restrictions are lifted and Caitlin Clark is playing 30 plus minutes per game, when the bench is producing, when the defense is solid, and when everybody is making their layups, the Indiana Fever are going to be absolutely unstoppable. I genuinely believe that. I am not just saying it for hype. I am not just saying it to generate excitement. I am saying it because the evidence is right there in front of us. The blueprint exists, we have seen it work before, and now the pieces are finally falling back into place. Let us also zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture here, because this is not just about one game against the Seattle Storm. This is not just about one performance, one stat line, one highlight reel moment. This is about the entire second half of the season and what it means for the legacy of Caitlin Clark, for the trajectory of the Indiana Fever franchise, and for the WNBA as a whole. The last time the Fever played the Seattle Storm, Caitlin Clark dropped 45 points with 10 assists. 45 points, a double-double, against a professional basketball team in the WNBA as a second-year player. That is not normal. That is not something that happens regularly. That is the kind of performance that gets talked about for decades. And she did it with a smile on her face, like it was just another Tuesday, like she was just warming up, like the best was still yet to come. And that is the terrifying thing for every other team in this league. The best is still yet to come. Caitlin Clark is still growing, still developing, still adding new dimensions to her already extraordinary game. Every game she plays, every challenge she faces, every moment of adversity she overcomes, it all makes her better. It all sharpens the blade. And the blade right now is already sharper than anything this league has ever seen. Social media has been absolutely on fire about all of this. The WNBA community is completely split. On one side, you have the true believers, the fans and analysts who have been watching Caitlin Clark since her college days at Iowa, who have seen what she is capable of, who understand that we are watching something truly historic unfold in real time. These people are electric right now. They are counting down the minutes to tip off. They are screaming from the rooftops that the Fever are about to make a run, and honestly, they are right. But then on the other side, you have the haters. You have the old guard of the WNBA, the people who have been resistant to Caitlin Clark's rise from day one, who have minimized her impact, who have questioned whether she truly belongs at this level, who have rooted against her at every turn, and those people are absolutely fuming right now. Because everything they said would not happen is happening. Everything they said Caitlin Clark could not do, she is doing. And now the Indiana Fever, a team that was supposed to be a rebuilding project, a team that was supposed to be years away from contending, are being talked about as legitimate championship contenders, and there is nothing the haters can do about it. Nothing at all, because here is the truth. Here is the cold, hard, undeniable truth that no amount of hate or negativity or resistance can change. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA right now. Full stop. She is the player who has changed the conversation around this league. She is the player who has brought new fans through the door, new eyeballs to the broadcasts, new energy to arenas across the country. She is the reason ratings are up. She is the reason attendance is up. She is the reason the WNBA is being talked about in sports conversations that it was never part of before. And she is doing all of that while also being, quite simply, one of the most talented basketball players on the planet. And now, with Stephanie White finally committing to running the offense through her, with the minutes restrictions potentially coming off. With Kelsey Mitchell finding her role as a complementary piece in a Caitlin Clark-led system, the Indiana Fever are about to show the entire basketball world just how good they can be, just how dangerous they are, just how real this championship conversation truly is. The Las Vegas Aces, they are there to be had. They are slower than they have been. They are not the dominant force they once were. The Minnesota Lynx are good. They are a legitimate contender, but so are the Fever. So is this team right now, in this moment, with Caitlin Clark healthy and unleashed and playing the kind of basketball that makes jaws drop and highlights go viral and people who have never watched a WNBA game in their lives suddenly glued to their screens? This is the moment, people. This is the second half of the season. This is where legacies are built. This is where the Indiana Fever go from a good story to a great story. This is where Caitlin Clark goes from a phenomenon to a champion. And it all starts right now. It all starts with Stephanie White making the right call. It all starts with putting the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands and trusting her to do what she does better than anyone else on this planet. The championship is loading. The run is beginning. And if you are not watching, if you are not paying attention, if you are not locked in to every single Indiana Fever game from here on out, you are going to miss something truly, truly special. Something that you will be telling people about for the rest of your life. Something that belongs in the history books of not just the WNBA, but of basketball as a whole. Caitlin Clark is about to go on a run for the ages. Stephanie White has finally agreed to let her do it. And the Indiana Fever are about to remind the entire world exactly why number 22 is the most electrifying player in the game today. Before you go, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to WNBA Xterra if you enjoyed it. Every single like, every comment, every subscription truly helps this channel grow, and it genuinely means the world to me. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you think about the Fever's second half chances, about Stephanie White's decision to run Caitlin Clark style offense, about whether this team can make a real championship run. Let me know everything. I read every single comment, and I will see you in the next one.
I'm ready to watch Caitlin Clark play 33, 34, 35 minutes a game and absolutely destroy these ladies and show them why she is the best player in the world. And listen, I'm smelling championship. I'm smelling championship. I think the Las Vegas Aces are there to be had. I think they're slow. I don't think they're that good of a team.